started off just like any normal Christmas day. We'd gone to Mass the day before, and Sadie was an altar server, and they had all made their Christmas lists, and it'd been a good year. Santa had brought everybody everything they wanted, and they'd written their notes and had the stockings. We have a beautiful tree, just with ornaments dangling all over it. And in the morning, the little ones are always the first to wake up, and they're chatterboxes, and they're excited, and the oohs and the ahs, and slowly then Daisy came down, finally Sadie came down, and they opened their presents.
And then it was a nightmare after that.
I'm David Walker, and this is my wife Norma, and we live here in Garland in the Richardson School District. We have 4 children. Eldest is Sadie. We have Daisy, who's 13, David, who is 11, and Lucy, who's 9 years old. And they all attend schools within our ISD.
Sadie, being an extrovert, had many activities. She was on the golf team. She played tennis in junior high. She just had a wide variety of activities. She was a babysitter. She was on the Honor Society and all sorts of fun things. And she's always curious about everything around her, and was always with her brothers and sisters.
Sadie, one of the things Sadie got that she had asked for was a skateboard, and she was just excited to take it out. And I was like, take it out.
As soon as I woke, I felt a chill in my body. I felt like a chill I can't even describe.
Got a call from Norma saying that she had gotten a call, and that disturbing call was the call that I mentioned, where she took her life. From the time when she took her life to the time we got that call, an hour passed. So by the time we got the call, she had already died. That set into motion a sequence of events. I told Norma, call 911. Police arrived. They started looking, and soon after they found her, and she. She died by self-asphyxiation.
It was shocking, unbelievable. It was unreal.
It was totally unexpected.
It was
not something that we had any clue about.
It was something that you don't even see in a movie. It's like, where does this come from? This is not real. It can't be. This is Christmas Day. And what happened? So the shock, the denial, this is not happening to us. She's a good kid. Where did this come from? She was very in our face. She was always wanting to be with us. She was always talking. We were always talking together. We had meals together. Like I said, so there was nothing where she would have been isolated in a room with these gadgets. And
she didn't have internet on her phone. She didn't have a computer in her room. I mean, we tried to do like best practices, right? And central
and no
in the
social media. We even said no social media. Yeah. The next day we found out through Coach Weaver, which it was like a punch, like David says, you said it's like a punch in the gut, like in the face. Yeah. I felt like right there, I'm like, what is this? Where did this come from? It was an Instagram account.
what we discovered was she had this Instagram account where she had been discussing suicide. Well, she only had the account for probably 6 weeks, and it began maybe not even 6 weeks, but it started kind of her talking about suicide as a kind of trying to support other kids, and a lot of it was, this is not the answer. This is not some of these, don't make a permanent decision for a temporary problem. These kinds of things, and it slowly just got darker and darker and darker. And when we saw it, she had 250 followers. So part of the message is, you got to speak out. You got to talk about this stuff, right? This is a real issue, and the damage that it does to people and to families is real, right? When we had her funeral, when we had the viewing, the vigil, we said we want to do an open casket, and we both just immediately agreed because we knew there'd be a lot of kids there, and we want them to see what this is, what this kind of what it means to what it means to have someone close to you die, And I think it had a big effect on a lot of those kids. A lot of those kids are still in touch with us. We've set up the website. We have a lot of kids that communicate with us.
The way that they see the cell phone is their life. For us at our age, it's a tool. A research tool, a tool, to read news, to find out what's happening in the world. For them, it's their life. You take it away and they'll say, like nothing, I want to die. My mother took my phone away. My mother grounded me because she found out I had a boyfriend. We were open and everything was on the table for her to talk to us. We're very open about all sorts of things.
In the end, I think her decision was, the way we describe it to our kids, right, was that, Sadie made a mistake. And the kid said, well, did she do it on purpose? I said, people don't make mistakes on purpose. She did it. It was a bad decision. It was a mistake. It was her choice, but it was a mistake. She didn't mean to do it because people don't mean to do mistakes. I think it was a compulsive act. We don't know all the facts about it. And a consistent message for kids is, if you see something like this, this is an issue that you can't solve on your own. It's a very real risk. And if you see someone talking about this, you need to report it to an adult.
Kids can't protect themselves. They don't have the capacity. The frontal lobe is not developed. They can only see to where my hand goes. That's why they get into trouble. That's why teens get pregnant. So if we can't protect them because we don't know, what is the percentage of parents that don't know the passwords of their children? They might know some, but we all know that they have other accounts.
Time takes care of a lot of things. When you are down, you're not always going to stay down. I mean, there will be an up after the down, and there's going to be probably a down after the up, and that's just part of life. That's something we all experience. You're going to experience suffering in your life. You're going to experience ups and downs. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean there's something wrong. It means you're living and you're loving and you're involved with other human beings, and that should be the expectation that you have. And if you need help, when's the right time to ask for help? Anytime. Anytime and every time you need help is the right time to ask for help. That's why we have that desire to interact with people written on our hearts. And I believe social media kind of makes those social relationships into a commodity. it's not about developing friendships, it's about collecting followers.
The message is the way that you're feeling now, you won't feel in 5 or 10 minutes because we're emotions and hormones. And so we don't. I don't. I don't feel what I felt 10 minutes ago, which is what I wanted to cry. I won't feel that in an hour. So that's the message, is that they need to have hope that, things will get better. Things will get better. And I just wanted to break down because I thought I was the only one wearing that white bead. But my friends said, look around. She's wearing a white bead. He's wearing a white bead. Look, this happens. It happens to all these people, thousands of people doing this overnight walk. And I felt that I wasn't walking this alone. I felt hope in that I'm not alone. I'm not alone. In my pain, people just like me are going through the same thing. There's hope and
One of the things I wrote a little bit about this on the site, but it was, it's like you have to live with some hope. When we went through all this, you see fear in people's eyes, right? And people look at you and they look away. I was like, why do they do that? And it's the same reason people look at a homeless person and they look away, or they look at a handicapped person and they look away. It's because they don't like what they're seeing and they're afraid of it. And I have spent a lot of time 3 a.m. thinking about these things, and it occurred to me, what's the opposite of fear? And it's not courage, right? I think it's hope. And the analogy I use is, when you've got a fireman running into a burning building, is he running because he's courageous, or it's because he has hope? He has hope that he's going to save someone, that there's someone in there he can save. It's the hope that drives you forward. And that hope is the antidote for the fear. And you have to have that.